Good morning. I'm Amy Slaughter-Myers, one of the co-rectors here at St. Francis Episcopal Parish and Community Center. And I thought I would talk to you a little bit today about preaching, and specifically about my personal process as I prepare for preaching on this Sunday. The gospel for this Sunday is Mark chapter 5, verses 21 through 43. And typically what I do is begin with something called lectio divina. If you haven't heard of that before, it's the Latin phrase meaning essentially holy reading. I will read and pray through the passage several times. Sometimes I will even hand write out the passage in one of my journals or a notebook. Sometimes I will even try to memorize the passage and try to tell the story back to myself. These are all ways that I try to have the passage live in me during the whole week in preparation for preaching. Once I settle on a word or a phrase or an image that seems to arise in me, then I might begin to do some research, some exegetical research on the text itself. And that will be the part where I will turn to other translations of the Bible, commentaries from a variety of sources on the Bible, on that passage. For me, in terms of my learning and growth as a preacher, I seek out commentaries from a wide variety of perspectives because I want very much to be aware of what assumptions that I'm bringing to the text as an American woman in 2021, and what might blind me to what's present in the text that would be so striking and so immediate if someone in a different social location or a different country or a different time period or a different era would read the text. If you want to get really super geeky with me, I have something called the Gospel Parallels. This is a super cool book. It has the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke laid out in 3 columns throughout the book. If you can see these columns, this is our Gospel passage for this Sunday, which has the story of the healing of Jairus' daughter, interrupted by the healing of the hemorrhaging woman. And you can see these blank spots show what parts of the story are omitted in the different Gospels. And that can be very illuminating and more fodder for prayer and curiosity and wonder and reflection. Typically, I spend anywhere between 10 and 30 hours preparing for a sermon, and that includes everything. That includes all the prayer time, that includes the research time, that includes the actual writing, because I was trained in part as a writer, and because I have a strong enjoyment of words and writing, I typically write and I rewrite and I rewrite and I rewrite, playing with different words, playing with different structures, playing with different sort of organizational aspects of the sermon. And then I will also spend time practicing my delivery of the sermon. So that can be anywhere between 10 to 30 hours a week. One of the things that I ask myself when I'm working on my sermon, and I invite you to ask yourselves when you're listening to my sermon or to anybody's sermon, is so what? The holy question of so what? And that's a question that grounds me in the relevance of the scriptures for the here and now. It's a question that grounds me in the relevance of the scriptures for my life. If I can't answer for myself what this particular text or this particular passage matters to my life, then how can I possibly preach a sermon that might invite you all to wonder and to reflect on how it matters in your life? So on Mondays, when we gather at 9 to discuss the sermon in any way that you would like to engage in that discussion of the sermon, we start with what are you still hearing from Sunday's sermon, but I also would invite you to use this holy question of, so what? What does this matter to me? What does this passage in the Bible say to me? What does this sermon say to me? Do I learn something about God? Have I been surprised by God in this sermon? Have I encountered God in the preached word? So again, if you would like to start the process of preparing and praying for Sunday, I would invite that. And if you want to reach out to me and share your experience of holy reading and praying through the gospel, again, it's Mark chapter 5, verses 21 through 43. Please reach out to me or share your comments in the comment section. God's peace be with you.